Welcome back. I hope you had that coffee I told you to get, since these videos are gonna eat up some of your time. So this one will be basically about saving and loading and some of the challenges that come along with that. First things first, if I grab this cube and I move it, the maze generator does not know that that cube is moved. It generates all the data at runtime and holds it in that maze map class I showed you in the serializable classes. So it doesn't know that these things are moving around in here. As a consequence, if I were to go to this maze and then save it now and then reload it, this tile would snap back. So if you want to modify this maze by hand, if you want to move things around or place different objects by hand, or if you want to tweak some of the walls and kind of stretch things out, whatever you want to do, you will have to use the good old just take the maze, drag it into your prefabs folder. You're gonna have to use that kind of method. That being said, prefabs, especially when you get to prefabs with a lot of game objects, I've made some pretty huge mazes that I've spent over 3 hours trying to solve and couldn't do. If from the inside, by the way, top down, I think it'd be a little bit easier. Anyway, I've made some huge mazes, and prefabs kind of, I don't know, they're not perfect. Sometimes they break down, especially if you're using version control systems with large prefabs and stuff like that. You can have some issues. So I recommend against using prefabs whenever possible. But in a lot of cases, you're gonna have to use prefabs, right? If you want to make anything custom. Also, the other way you can do it is just to save it into the scene, link a few mazes together, or whatever you want to do. Oh, one tip that's not related to saving and loading that I should talk about is this maze position. You can actually tell the maze to generate at a different position, which is pretty much useless in the inspector. But if you're trying to generate mazes at runtime for the user as they're solving them or something like that, you can tap into this variable here and then generate your mazes at new positions. Just something I figured I'd throw out there. Not that you'll be looking for it here, but it'll be in the documentation too. And if you're watching this video, which I hope you are, if you've purchased the asset or are thinking about purchasing it, then now you know. Anyway, back to saving and loading. So I use an ID system with saving and loading, where like this is wall piece 0, I think, and then as this is saved or as it's generated, actually, each wall is assigned an ID that corresponds to the the pieces in the maze generator. So I'm just gonna make sure that this is saved here. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna overwrite my example, and then I'm gonna do something funky. There we go. And this trackpad is hard to use, but I got it on the first try. That's nice. So now that I've reversed them, I'm gonna reverse my floor pieces as well. If I try to load this maze, normally nothing would happen, but if you pay close attention, all the colors. Oh, right, I forgot. I still have this named example too. That's another thing. So when you load mazes, if you load them in with a different name, they're not going to overwrite the thing in the hierarchy. They're going to make a new one, just like if you generate them with a different name. Something I left in there on purpose so that you could load in the same maze multiple times if you wanted to for whatever reason. Uh, so it's all name based. If the name changes at all, it won't overwrite the old maze. Okay, now you'll see what I wanted you to see. Load the example. Now the colors have reversed because I've changed their order in here. Um, I can also just straight up get rid of two. So this will throw like a warning, but it won't crash anything. It won't break on you. You're gonna get this warning. This maze is created with two wall pieces because you do not have that many. The walls have been randomly selected again, but the layout is the same. So if you had 15 walls and you went down to 10, it would repopulate the whole maze with these 10 walls. So the layout's going to be identical, but the pattern will change on the walls. So that's not a huge deal, because if we fix it, we grab our walls back and put them back in the right order. I load this maze, as long as I don't save it, because if I save it, it'll save the new IDs. And if I load it, then everything's back to the way it was, so it's not a huge deal. Details are a little bit different. Um, if I mess with the number of details in the maze, so I can always add more, but I can never take away. So if I generated the maze with like 3 details, even if one of them was set to like 0 frequency, so it wasn't in the maze, if I take one of them away, it's gonna notice that I'm down a detail. Let's do it with the other details. No details. Let's generate a new maze. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Load the maze because generating obviously doesn't matter. Um, so this one's an error because it's a little more severe. The maze was saved with one unique detail or details because you don't know. For the maze, because you do not have enough details in other details, they were not loaded. So all the other details weren't loaded. The wall details were still loaded, but the other details were just left out entirely. Again, you can fix this by coming back. The reason for this is that for a lot of the details, what type of detail they are is important. So I can't just willy-nilly start replacing torches with, like, if you had something else on the walls, like vines or something, I can't just start willy-nilly replacing torches with vines. So I just take them out entirely and really put my foot down and let you know that you need to fix the issue. So these are some things that you're going to have to keep track of on your own when you're using this asset, or use the prefab system. Something you can come up with your own way of managing it, but I just figured I'd bring this to light and let you know kind of what to keep track of. It shouldn't be a problem for most people. Once you have your wall pieces in there and you've started generating mazes you like, just leave them alone and you can save them as files just fine. And it actually works really well with user saves too, because you can call all these methods externally. So if I want to generate a new maze, I can call that externally. I can set all these variables externally. They're all accessible through scripting. I can load mazes externally, and then from the mazes themselves, I can save them. I can call the save method externally. You can go through the code and see what's linked up to where. It's all in the editor scripts. Um, you can see where the buttons are being made in the editor scripts, and then what methods are being called. Um, so you can call all that externally. So you can save, like if you're just randomly generating the mazes at runtime, and the user wants to save and quit, and you want to save the maze they were in, you can just do that. You can call the save method, and then when they load in their game, you can call the load method. The layout will be the same. If you have any movable objects, it's obviously going to have to be something else. You're going to have to save. You're going to have to save the position of the movables. If you have collectibles, you're going to have to save the status of those. So in that case, I wouldn't recommend generating your collectibles. I'd recommend hand placing them, because if you generate your collectibles and then you save the maze, it'll save that map that was generated when you hit the generate, when you called the generate method. So then you'll have, if you tell the player how many collectibles they have saved, you'll be saving that. But then when the maze is loaded, it'll load those collectibles that were there as well, because they're part of the maze map at that point. So I hope all this makes sense. If you have any questions or want any clarification or anything, please don't hesitate to use the contact form. If you're on the Unity website, it'll be above this video. If you're on the YouTube, if you're on YouTube watching this, just head on over to my publisher page, and you can go to my contact form or use my email. Always feel free to get in contact with me, to leave comments, suggestions, anything you need to know or want me to improve, or things you'd like me to add. I'm pretty quick about that. If I think it's something worthwhile, or sometimes I can do like a one-off for you if it's a simple enough change. Anyway, I hope you're having a great day. I hope you continue to have a great day. And I'll see you next time, or not see you. I might see your comments if you comment. Anyway, see ya.